Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, a car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch Firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. All right. Steve Cully, Moneyline, doing it a little late. I had nobody to play with, to co-host with me, so I am doing it alone, and I'm trying to get it done before the championship games begin. So we will do this. We will do this fast, down, and dirty, just how I like it. Moneyline, the news from last week. I am going to start with the Broncos and the Bills. I am not a Buffalo fan, even though I live close to Buffalo. I'm a Giants fan, but even I was disgusted with how Buffalo lost. I thought the officiating was atrocious. I thought that some of the decision making was poor. The catch, Brandon Cooks and the Denver defensive back were wrestling over the ball that was ruled an interception, was atrocious. That would have won him the game, and it cost Sean McDermott his job, which I did not think was necessary. The press conference that followed with owner Terry Pagula saying that the coaching staff decided to draft Keon Coleman, wide receiver. That's interesting. Billy Bean was right there, and coaching staffs usually don't have power at all. They have some power, but the general manager, the buck usually stops with him. So it was a frustrating game, and I feel for Josh Allen, man. I feel for him. He fought back, and he fought back. I mean, they were down 20-10 at the half. And, they fired back up in the fourth quarter and came back and ended up losing in overtime. I was just frustrated because, Cooks was running the ball well. The Bills were a shell of themselves. They were patchwork with their receivers. You know, when Brandon Cooks is your guy, um, it's not exactly something you look forward to. Uh, Prater was kicking really injured, and you had turnover after turnover after turnover that Josh Allen had, um, which Denver had a 23-10 lead before he finally came back and threw a TD pass to Coleman, and then he got Dalton Kincaid, and Buffalo got a 24-23 lead back. But the Broncos scored 10 points in the final 22 seconds of the first half. I had a problem with this. Buffalo got the ball back, and I know you're trying to be aggressive, selectively aggressive, but the sack and the strip leading to a field goal, that killed them. That killed them, and it just infuriated me. And Sean McDermott has done more for the city of Buffalo than anyone has in decades, since Tom Brady retired. But he hasn't had a ton to work with since Stephon Diggs left and Amari Cooper left. The wide receiver position has been sorely lacking. Defensively, they have been sorely lacking. They have great tight ends. I love Kincaid. But just the way this game turned out infuriated me because it should not have happened. There was a play in the fourth quarter. The Bills had the perfect call. They were in the red zone. Denver came with a cover 0 blitz, and they had a wide receiver screen called. Josh Allen threw the ball low, bounced off the ground, incompletion. And it would have been a touchdown. The guy ran it in for a touchdown. That infuriated me. And then in overtime, just the officiating. These guys work 3 days a week, and your jobs and livelihoods are depending on them. And they completely just blew it. Like, talk about a dumpster fire. What the? And I'm not a Buffalo fan again. I'm a Giants fan. I just Buffalo. This was their year with Mahomes out, Burrow out. They should be the team in the Super Bowl. And they were injured with so many injuries with patchwork. I thought they should have relied on Cook a little bit more, but they had 5 turnovers, 5 freaking turnovers, and they still outgained Denver 449 to 349. 10 of 15 on third down. That's unheard of in the playoffs. So I just, Sean McDermott should not have been fired because of this. The call with Brandon Nicks was complete bullshit, to be perfectly fair. I thought he caught it and was down. And we saw later in the Bears game a similar situation, and it was ruled a catch. But when your tight end Kincaid, he's great, but he's your leading receiver. He had 6 catches for 83 yards. Khalil Shakir, 7 catches, 75 yards. And then from there, it's Brandon Cooks, 2 catches, 20 yards. Ray Davis, 2 catches, 33. Like, come on. Keon Coleman, 1 catch for 10 yards, and he was the discussion in the press conference. So let's make a situation worse and fire a beloved coach and anger the city of Buffalo because of terrible referees, Josh Allen making poor decisions, 5 turnovers, and you still should have won the game. Bo Nix, 26 of 46. It's not like he played outstanding. And he led the team in rushing, 12 carries, 29 yards. Are you kidding me? And yeah, Cortland Sutton had an okay game, and Marvin Mims had an okay game. But that just infuriated me. Sean McDermott is going to get picked up. Whether it's this year or next year, he's going to get picked up. He is an outstanding coach. He's proven that. He's been able to bring a winning swagger back to Buffalo. And I get that they don't want to waste the prime years of Josh Allen, and bringing in a new coach they see as the answer. Well, I got news for you. It ain't. It ain't. They needed to get Allen some targets to throw to. And you trade a Stephon Diggs and Amari Cooper retires or whatever. You don't replace them with anyone. You draft Keon Coleman, and you think he's going to be your answer? Come on. Josh Allen made chicken salad out of chicken shit all year. Chicken shit out of chicken salad, or whatever the fucking saying is. Pissed me off. So Sean McDermott gets thrown under the bus. No reason for his firing, and Terry Pagula said it was because of the performance of the Denver game. Well, Joe Brady is your offensive coordinator, who you just interviewed for your head coaching position. He calls the plays. There were 5 turnovers. I would think maybe he would bear some responsibility for that. Why not? Why not? Your offensive coordinator, he doesn't bear responsibility for 5 turnovers on offense? Boy, I must be living on fucking Mars. Fucking kidding me. Joe Brady. I love Joe Brady. I think Joe Brady's done a great job this year. James Cook runs angry. I love James Cook. Buffalo, they just beat up Josh Allen a lot all year. You know, whether they're running him on designed runs, the tush pushes, whatever. And he refuses to slide. There were a couple ball spots that I thought were awful. It was just a lousy game. The Broncos didn't deserve the win, and they're going to get smoked by the Patriots in about 30 minutes. So there's that. And Sean McDermott, I applaud you. You coached with honor. You restored promise back to Buffalo, and you restored a winning culture back to Buffalo. And I know they were starting a petition to try to get you reinstated. I really hope they do, because you should be reinstated. I do want to mention John Harbaugh being hired by the Giants. Finally, the first good move they've made in a long time. I think he is the perfect fit. He's exactly what they need, and he is going to have a variety of weapons. Neighbors is going to be back. He's going to be healthy. Cam is going to be back at running back. He's going to be healthy. Jackson Dart, we're going to teach him the slide. He's going to be a dominant force. And I think next year, especially with Abdul Carter and some other guys returning on defense, the Giants are going to be much better. They made a smart play being aggressive going after John Harbaugh. I'm glad they did. It was the right decision, and it's going to pay off. We also had the Texans of Houston getting decimated by the Patriots of New England. Mike Vrabel, man, I said he's coach of the year. I was argued on that. I can't remember who argued with me and said it's not Vrabel. It was somebody else. but I think Vrabel should be the coach of the year. Drake May threw 3 touchdown passes in the snow. C.J. Stroud was absolutely atrocious with the weather, and the Patriots won 28-16, and they're going to be playing in the AFC Championship very, very shortly. So we are excited to see that. The Patriots are going to beat the Broncos. The Broncos are playing their backup quarterback who hasn't played in 3 years, Jarrett Stidham, whatever the hell his name is. I don't care because it doesn't matter. In other news, the Rams, man, if Matthew Stafford isn't the MVP, Caleb Williams has had a great year, but Matthew Stafford's got to be the MVP. 46 touchdown passes, 4,000 yards passing. When he's healthy, there's nobody better. And he goes into Chicago, and I bet the Rams because I'm never going to take the Bears. The Bears are the Bears, and Caleb Williams loves his mother too much. So good for the Rams, and I don't think they're going to end up in the Super Bowl. I'm pulling for them, but I think Seattle's too hot. But, Stafford, 20 for 42 for 258. They had, a strong run game with Williams, 21 carries, 87 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. So, and then, defensively, they did well. Caleb Williams, 3 interceptions. So go have your mama make you some soup and then take a shit. The Seahawks, I think, are the most explosive, dangerous team right now. Now, the 49ers were decimated with injuries as well. So I get it. But they took a 17-0 lead in the first quarter. That set the tone. That completely set the tone. That took the 49ers out of any game plan they had. When you run the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, that pretty much tells the story. Sam Darnold threw a touchdown pass, and he got his first career playoff win in his first season with the Seahawks. I'm so happy for him. That he has been through hell and back, being picked by the dreadful Jets. Couldn't pay people to go there. And he's run out of town. He goes to Carolina, run out of town. And, it's funny that Carolina had Darnold and Baker Mayfield at the same time, and both couldn't hack it. And now they're succeeding elsewhere, even though Mayfield didn't have as good of a season. But Darnold has just been impressive this year. Now, I know he's thrown a lot of interceptions. 25 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, 4,000 yards passing. I just think they're too hot. I think they're too hot. But Matthew Stafford, they keep him upright. They keep the running game going. They play well defensively. They can beat the Seahawks. And I'm pulling for the Rams. I am pulling for the Rams. But I do believe Seattle is going to win. I do believe it's going to be Seattle and New England in the playoffs. In the Super Bowl, in the Super Bowl. If it's the Rams and the New England, great. There's no way the Broncos are winning. If the Broncos are winning, I will do every show next week shirtless. Or naked, one or the other. So, the other news, obviously, Indiana, God bless them. Indiana wins the national championship. People thought the U was back, and they were. And I said that, for them to make the national championship game for the first time since 2002, the U's back. But, Fernando Mendoza, it's just an incredible story, an incredible year. And like I said, they're the first team since 1894. It was Yale in 1894 that went 16-0 in college football. Indiana, it's the second team, 16-0 national champion, and they deserve it. They deserve it. Kurt Signetti, coach of the year. He's done phenomenal, and I give him all the credit in the world. If you told us 2 years ago that Indiana was going to win a national championship out of the Big Ten, you would have been laughed out of the universe because, Penn State and Michigan and Ohio State, probably, even adding USC, Oregon would have had something else to say about it. But that's not really the issue. The transfer portal, and I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but the transfer portal is just a complete and absolute shit show. And it's sad to see because it's hurting kids. We looked at it, and I believe there were 11,000 kids in the portal, and 3,000 or so were signed. So there were 6, 7, 8,000 kids without a home, and they got to hope injuries happen. They got to hope for miracles for them to get deals, to get money, to get scholarships. And it's just the NCAA has done such a horseshit job with monitoring this, because there's clearly third-party tampering, and there's clearly tampering that's not third-party. We saw Dabo Swinny. He annihilated Pete Golding, the new head coach at Ole Miss, for blatant tampering. And, he said the current landscape of college football encourages these actions and offered chances he believes are needed to provide guardrails for the current system during a more than an hour-long news conference Friday. Dabo said Golding, he made direct and repeated overtures to lure Luke Farrelly, a linebacker who transferred from Cal, into the transfer portal. Now, he transferred from Cal to Clemson, signed a contract, already in classes, transferring with the team. They're still contacting him. And I think that is egregious. And Dabo called it extortion. And it is. Because then they start going back with the agent. The agent's like, well, if you guarantee his second year at $1 million, well, maybe we can talk. It doesn't work like that. And a lot of teams don't do 2-year guarantees. They're starting to, but not a lot of them do. So there's a broken system. And if there's no consequences for tampering, then we have no rules and we have no governance, is what Sweeney said. And I told a friend of mine, Mike Burton, who I love dearly, who supports UConn very much. I said, Mike, what would happen? Like, I want you, after like the third game next year, if you're working with a kid, just stop paying them. Say, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm not going to pay you. Because apparently the contracts these kids sign aren't worth the paper that they're printed on. If you can break a contract, and Mike informed me that there's buyout clauses and different things that protect schools, it's not working. This kid was let out of his contract. He's going to Ole Miss. The Menza kid, the quarterback at Duke, he, after agreeing to a deal, compensation package, an NIL deal in December, at the 11th hour announces he's going to enter the portal. Duke winds up suing him, and they're both suing each other. So it's not college football anymore. It makes me despise college football. Like it just the greed that goes with it. And I know it's easy to say when you're talking about money, and money makes the world go round. Money makes everything different. I get that. But come on, this is outrageous. Menza is being sued for breach of contract after he said he was going to stay with the Blue Devils. Ferrelli, the linebacker, he was one of the country's top freshman defenders at Cal, entered the portal in January. And Dabo, in his hour-long press conference, detailed the 2-week process that followed, in which Ferrelli visited Ole Miss and Clemson, agreed to the revenue-sharing contract with the Tigers, rented an apartment, purchased a car, enrolled in classes, and had begun off-season workouts. And then on January 14th, more than a week after Ferrelli had begun his classes at Clemson, the agent contacted Clemson's general manager, Jordan Sorrells, to alert him Ole Miss was going hard after Ferrelli. At Sweeney's request, Sorrells reached out to Ole Miss general manager Austin Thomas and requested that the school cease further communication with Ferrelli. According to Sweeney, Thomas assured Sorrells that he did not support tampering, but Golding does what he does. Yeah, I do what I do. I take a shit and I throw it against the wall. That's what I do. Sweeney then detailed a series of alleged communications from Golding to Ferrelli that started during an 8 a.m. class. A text message. I know you're signed, but what's the buyout? That was followed by a photo of $1 million contract offer. Then he gets phone calls from Ole Miss former quarterback Trinidad Chambliss, who's going to be in the draft. And then Jackson Dart, who's with the Giants, attempting to lure Ferrelli back into the portal. Ferrelli, numerous times, tells Clemson he has no interest in leaving. But his agent, Ryan Williams, declined to offer copies of those text messages showing the communication unless Dabo said that the Tigers add a second year to Ferrelli's contract that included a $1 million extension. Clemson nicely declined that offer. So Sweeney and athletic director Graham Neff then detailed a roller coaster 4 hours January 15th that began with Ferrelli on campus assuring coaches that he was staying put. And then he ended up in the compliance office by late afternoon requesting to be entered into the portal with plans to go to Ole Miss. Clemson submitted a complaint to the NCAA alleging blatant, straightforward tampering. And Neff, the athletic director, said the school will consider additional legal action if no resolution follows. There is going to be no resolution that follows. They're allowing him to transfer. I don't know what the buyout was or who pays it or whatever. And Sweeney said, I'm not trying to get anybody fired, but when is enough enough? And I agree with him. This is ridiculous. ESPN had an article out, I think 2 weeks ago, of frequent flyers, meaning frequent flyers of transfers. There's guys that have transferred 6 times. You know, they'll transfer in the winter twice. Then they'll transfer in the spring. Then they'll transfer in the spring again. It's like, when your roster turnover in college football is more than the roster turnover in the NFL, something is fucking wrong. It's broken. Wake up. Realize this. And the money is outrageous. It's an arms race year after year after year. Donors are going to get bored. You're going to have to go to donors every year and ask for millions of dollars. Oh, we got to keep this guy, this guy, this guy. We need $20 million. The school has to pay $20 million. That comes from raising tuition or books or whatever. Unbelievable. And Golding, he's been the head coach at Ole Miss for less than 2 months after Kiffin goes to LSU. Golding learned from the best. And Golding had to deal with numerous schools attempting to lure Ole Miss players after Kiffin's departure. So you would think he would have some mild sympathy. They tried to take my players. I'm not going to try to take someone else's. And I believe this is the first time legitimate tampering allegations were filed against the school. So NCAA officials were surprised by Clemson's transparency in its complaint, telling him told Swinny that numerous schools had expressed frustration or made less clear-cut accusations of tampering, but had rarely been willing to file an official grievance. Whether the NCAA can and will enforce punishment should it find Ole Miss tampered with Forelli is unclear. Tampering is against NCAA rules. It's widely considered a rampant issue that often entails communications between third parties. That's all you have to do. You have your friend's brother or your friend talk to someone at someone else's school. But as Dabo said, it's not about a linebacker at Clemson. He doesn't want anyone who doesn't want to be there. But it's about the next kid and the next kid and the message that is being sent with just blatant tampering being allowed to happen without consequences. This isn't about our program. It's about college football. And I agree. It's sad, the state of college football. They made a huge miscalculation by moving the transfer portal to January and only limiting it to 15 days. I thought that was error number one. So out of the 10,000 kids or 11,000 kids that transferred, 3,000 got signed. That means 7,000 don't have a home. That's disturbing. We are going to take a quick break right now from a couple of our sponsors. Down south, we have the Trench Mob, run by Julius Williams in Decatur, Georgia. He trains offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5v5 tournaments and college showcase camps across the country. Julius has sent kids to schools like Florida, Florida State, Miami, Tennessee, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, just to name a few. We have the Trench Mob podcast every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. If you want your kid to go to college and play Division I football and be trained by the best, you go to the Trench Mob. To contact them, go to www.battleofthetrenches.com. Ned Von Young owns Fresh Fold Laundry Company down in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's a high-end laundry service. They wash, dry, and fold your clothes for you. They have a pickup and drop-off delivery service, so you can have your laundry done in the comfort of your own home without ever leaving. You put your laundry in a clear plastic bag, put it out, they pick it up, everything is done, wash, dried, and fold, and it is dropped off to you within 48 hours. They offer an expedited service as well. They have an online subscription model. You can also book online to schedule your pickups. They have deals for college students. So if you're in college, wash your nasty ass, and you can go to their website. It's myfreshfold-laundry.com. Yeah, so I'm infuriated. I have no tolerance anymore for this transfer portal. Just make them employees, collective. Have a CBA. Do whatever you have to do, because this is not college football. We're seeing 40, 50, 60, 70 transfers a year, more roster turnover than an NFL team. How can people be okay with that? How can people support that? Because you won a national championship? Kurt Signetti, he did things the right way. He took chances on kids. He didn't have the money that some of the other schools had. He brought in good players. He coached hard. And I give him credit for that. The U had money. The U had a ton of transfers. Carson Beck being one of them, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in college football. Carson Beck was a complete dud at the U. They expected a lot more out of him when they paid him what they did. But the transfer portal is broken. College football is broken. College sports is broken. And either NCAA officials need to step in, put your big boy pants on, and fix the goddamn situation, or Congress has to intervene, because this isn't fun. This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. The quarterback at Duke commits December 20, whatever, he's coming back, and then the 11th hour, I'm going into the transfer portal. There's no loyalty. These guys are all mercenaries. They're hired fucking guns. It's sickening. It's sickening to see what the sport has become. Basketball to an extent, but football is, because it's $1 billion industry. There's so much money in television revenue. There's so much money making the playoffs, how far you advance in the playoffs. Winning a national championship changes everything. I just, this could have been stopped years ago. And when we talked with Coach Lyndon Johnson and Rob Ambrose, they said this was brought up. We're going to eventually have to pay players. Let's put parameters on it. Let's put some guardrails on it now while we still can. But you know what? The athletic directors, the presidents, whoever, they didn't want to do it, the chancellors. So people sued, and they won. They won because the conferences were making billions of dollars off of the players' backs. Players weren't getting shit. I agree the players deserve to get paid, but the transfer portal should not be 15 days. It should not be a mad goddamn fucking scramble like a rat race. Move it to the spring. Make it a little bit longer after spring practice, and do it the right way. And my friend Chris Bellamy, he talked about this. There's going to be a mental health crisis in years from now, 4 or 5 years from now, because there's going to be kids who haven't graduated from school because they've transferred so many times. Their credits aren't going to transfer. They're not going to leave with the degree, or they're not going to care to stay in school for 8 years. There's, freshmen are limited with their options. We've seen smaller and smaller freshman classes because coaches want ready-made players. There was an article in The Athletic about how come colleges can't develop quarterbacks anymore. Why? They don't have to. Why waste time developing a quarterback when you can go to another school and steal one? You got the money, go pay one, go buy one. I wouldn't develop a quarterback either. It's the hardest position to play. Takes the most time and effort to learn. Takes the most time and effort to succeed in. I'd go pay for a great quarterback too. So that's why they're not being developed. And the Duke kid, Menza, You got $3 million. You've already been paid $4 million over two. Like, what the fuck with the money? You're getting money. I'm surprised there's not more jealousy within teams. This guy's making this much. This guy's making this much. I'm only making this much. Tell you what, I'd be jealous. I'd be jealous. I'd be lucky to get a Deepy Dough Buffalo Wing Zone. That was my favorite. Oh no, the Danger Zone I used to like too. Or Sergeant Pep's Pizza when I was at UConn. That would be my NIL deal. But it's just awful. It's just awful. College basketball, shout out to UConn. You know, we're dominating the world of college basketball, men and women. UFC 324 we watched last night. It was incredible watching Justin Gaethje, I'll say his name wrong, and Patty the Batty in the main event. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen. Justin won. There was a match that was pulled off because of suspicious betting. So just hours before the event was supposed to start, the lightweight matchup between Alexander Hernandez, 18-8, and Michael Johnson, 24-19, was canceled. The company did not immediately provide a reason for the cancellation, but Dana White confirmed in his post-fight news conference it was for suspicious betting activity. And this comes less than 3 months after the UFC dealt with a major betting scandal surrounding another fight. And it's just crazy. I mean, college basketball, pro basketball, we're just greedy. Everyone's greedy. And it's easy to say, well, you don't have money. I get it. I don't have money. I'm broke as shit. But yeah. So it was a great show. Sad to see the fight get canceled. The Black Beast, Derek Lewis, to see him get knocked out was difficult. He was one of my favorites. But otherwise, it was a ho-hum card. Rose Namajunas, I was disappointed with her performance. I expected more out of her. But again, you know, you're looking at this. So, according to ESPN, the LSU Tigers have the number one transfer portal class. And it starts with landing Sam Leavitt, the quarterback from Arizona State. That was big, but they have a monster class. Number 2, Texas Tech. You know why? They got a shit ton of money to spend, so they can buy the best players. There's no loyalty anymore. There's no camaraderie. These are all hired guns, mercenaries, brought in to do a job to win, and then they leave. That's what college football's turned into. There's more loyalty in the NFL than there is in college. It's just, it makes me want to puke. Indiana's number 3, and few programs have taken advantage of the portal like Indiana and Coach Cignetti. He stuck to his blueprint by prioritizing starting experience at positions of need, kind of around a new quarterback. And they have TCU transfer Josh Hoover coming in. He doesn't have the physical upside of other top-ranked transfer quarterbacks, but he's got arm strength. He's got accuracy. He can push the ball downfield vertically in Indiana's system. He just has to keep his turnovers in check. He's got a ready-made number 1 wide receiver in Nick Marsh, who is a Michigan State transfer, and he is the highest-ranked portal edition because he is 6'3", and he's got big play ability. Texas was 4, Ohio State was 5, Penn State was 6, Ole Miss was 7, Kentucky was 8. Oh, that's shocking. Kentucky was 8, Michigan was 9, Texas A&M was 10. So there you have it. The WNBA, I know everyone wants to know, is still at a stalemate. They are not close to solving their CBA issues. But we'll see what happens. Tomorrow we have a special Rebel Republic. We have a special Rebel Republic coming, and there'll be a post about it, which I can't wait to share. And I'm going to go watch the games, and we'll get back and we'll talk more. But this has been Moneyline. My last sponsor, my good man James. Finally, we have James Whitfield of Luther James Insurance. For the last 3 years, James has dedicated himself to the art of financial services. He specializes in life insurance and insurance policies. He will save you money, make you a boatload of money, and do so tax-free. He also specializes in retirement planning because we know the stress that goes into thinking about retirement. How much am I going to need? For how long? Do we have enough? Because fear of the unknown is real. To contact James, go to www.lutherjamesinsurance.com. All right, well, everybody enjoy the NFC and AFC championship games. We'll see who winds up in the Super Bowl. I am supposed to be on with Sean Mulcahy, my man, a little bit later after the games tonight to talk about everything that's going on. Also, I would say hello to Grayson Gordon, who was on the Trench Mob podcast a couple weeks ago. One of the best tight ends I've seen for a 14-year-old. Just a ferocious blocker. Receiving ability that you don't see for a kid his age. I coach college tight ends who couldn't recognize coverages, who couldn't settle in the openings, who couldn't catch the ball and spin and turn the right way to avoid defenders. Grayson is going to be a special talent. Proud that he has been offered by Central State University. It's a Division II school in Ohio, and Florida International University, his first Division I offer. For a freshman to get a Division I FBS offer, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that shows the quality of talent this kid is. He is going to be big time. He is going to be special. And God damn it, I want him to come to UConn. And his father, Shay, has been incredible with me. We're hoping to talk more and work together and do everything we can to help each other out. Tomorrow for Rebel Republic, Jimmy Fallon, we're going to try to have on 3:30 p.m. There will be a post with a link. Look for it. And I'm Steve Cully. I'm pissed the fuck off. And when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them back at life. Remember, though, I'm Steve Cully, and I'm running for Congress.